the world.
And what about, I mean, as someone who understands pretty intimately the interconnectedness of the economy here, you know, we've also been talking to a lot of big chefs in New York City, and I know you have some interest in the restaurant business as well. What do you think about the world of dining going forward? You know, you mentioned earlier, which I think we all agree with, that people are going to want to be together. They're going to want to be together in places like New York, and yet there are going to be public health concerns. What does that business look like to you?
Well, I think restaurants are about the roughest and toughest retail businesses to succeed in the best of times. It's only going to be harder now. I know in our retail real estate where we have mom and pop stores or smaller tenants or restaurants, we're working with them. They've been good tenants for a long time. They've paid their rent and they have no source of income now. Then we're going to do what we can to keep them and hope they can get back on their feet. Trying to evict them would be counterproductive. They're ready to move back in when things are good. Hopefully they have enough capital to get going, but we'll be flexible on rents as we have to be.
So just to sum up, and I do wonder, we've been asking what we call our big thinker question, you know, how will the coronavirus pandemic change the world, Doug? And I do wonder, you know, more specifically when we come out from this immediate crisis, what's the most important, in your view, underappreciated way that the world, or at least your area of expertise, and you have several here, will be different?
That's a hard question. I think certainly the federal government at some point gets its, has a preparedness for this kind of thing in the future that it doesn't have at present. And I think that people are, the psychological toll this takes on people will not be something forgotten. My dad grew up in the Depression. He remembers when the eviction notice was nailed to his door and his mother cried. I think you're going to have a similar effect on the psyche of the population, and people will be a lot more cautious and grateful, hopefully.
Yeah, it's hard not for you not to feel some kind of strong impact from this. Doug, thank you so much for all your time, and we wish you well, and hopefully we can catch up with you on the other side of this. Doug Steiner is chairman of Steiner NYC, chairman of Steiner Studios. Doug joining us on the phone from Brooklyn on this Friday. Another thoughtful conversation to try to figure, as we said, you know, a lot of mixed messages in terms of how do we get out of this?
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah, and he's right. You know, he's very right about the idea that, you know, this city that we call home, and that we certainly call our work home, resilient. And this is unprecedented in many ways. You heard Barry Ritholtz say that as well. But, you know, it will find a way, and it will be a little bit different. And also, let's not forget that some of this is, in the relative sense, short term. If we do figure out the medical side of this, if we figure out a vaccine, if we figure out a way to essentially live with it, it's hard to imagine, and I think you've been making this point very clearly, it's hard to imagine a world where New York City isn't thriving. There's so much here, and I was really interested in what he said about the workforce as it relates to film and TV production, that the crews are basically going to be like, listen, we're in New York, we're going to do this in New York.
Right.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, totally. And that's what will drive the business back. Great conversation. Want to remind everybody our weekend show has a bunch of our great conversations throughout the week. We've got the president and CEO of Subaru America. We've got the founder of Jarco Capital. We also have Max Levchin of Affirm. Just one great conversation after another. Keith Barr of Intercontinental Group, the CEO. And then we had Ann Taylor, co-executive producer, April Taylor, of Billions. So, great new season this weekend.
Yeah, Sunday night. Tune in. It's going to be great.
All right, everybody, have a safe weekend. Check out our podcast, and we'll see you back here on Monday. This is
And Bloomberg Business Week is brought to you by National Realty and RIA Silver, the high return income producing properties for investor partners. See them at nria.net.
Why do hedge funds and other alternative managers rely on Pershing for a highly personalized experience? Mark Alderati, Managing Director at BNY Mellon's Pershing and Head of Prime Services, explains.
In today's fast-paced environment, where the only constants are change and volatility, you need a prime broker who's both steady and agile, focused on supporting your needs so that you can focus on growing your business and producing results. Exceptional client service and advocating for our clients is at the core of what we do. Our award-winning high-touch team is just one of the benefits of working with BNY Mellon. We help alternative investment managers create great experiences for their clients. Whether it's customized financing, securities lending solutions, options, platform access, or outsourced trading, BNY Mellon's Pershing is a prime broker who's committed to this business and dedicated to meeting your evolving demands.
To learn more about the unique and industry-leading solutions for hedge funds and other alternative managers, visit Pershing.com. Pershing LLC, member FINRA, NYSE SIPC.
Now Bloomberg traffic and weather will start things off traveling over at the Hudson River crossings. About 5 minutes to leave town over at the Holland Tunnel. The same to be set for the Lincoln Tunnel. Not a bad ride over at the George Washington Bridge. The inbound lower level, the right lane is blocked for construction, and it will be that way until about 9 o'clock this evening. Looks like the ride, if you're going to be traveling in Manhattan, not too bad either side of town. Some stop and go traffic on the southbound Cross Bronx Expressway through some pretty bad road conditions. There are Neil Armstrong-like craters in the roadway right now, and you've got some slow traffic over the Bronx Parkway in towards the area of the Alexander Hamilton Bridge. In New Jersey, 46 westbound by Chapin Road and Pinebrook, watch for an accident. 287 still a mess. This coming in through Middlesex County, southbound by exit 8. There's police activity. It's an investigation of an earlier accident. 2 lanes are blocked there at Centennial Avenue with delays of at least 15 minutes coming down from exit 10 at Easton Avenue. Northbound, the traffic is quite slow because folks there are going to be curious. Looks like delays over on the Garden State Parkway have cleared. The Bloomberg 11:30 3-day weather forecast for tonight: clear skies across the area, low 50 to 55. Saturday, partly sunny, high near 70. Sunday, a late day shower, high around 70. And then looking at Monday, partly sunny, high 55. Skies are partly sunny in New York, 64 degrees. The best ride in and out of the city. I'm Ed Pilecki, Bloomberg 11:30, bringing you global news 24 hours a day.
We have to get it right the first time.
We always talk about the losers in a trade war.
You benefit if you're just further away from China.
So that you can too.
What are the ramifications if she crumbles or doesn't crumble?
Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business, Radio.com, the iHeartRadio apps, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening. From the financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take on Bloomberg. This is WBDR New York, Bloomberg 11:30.
Special report, coronavirus update. President Trump says a new antiviral has been given the green light by federal regulators.
I'm pleased to announce that Gilead now has an EUA from the FDA for remdesivir. And you know what that is, because that's been the hot thing also in the papers and in the media for the last little while. An important treatment for hospitalized coronavirus patients.
Gilead says remdesivir takes about 6 months to manufacture. The president's calling on Michigan's Democratic governor to give a little on stay-at-home orders after protesters, some of them armed, massed at the state capitol. Democratic Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin says the demonstrators blew it.
What bothered me yesterday is they endangered the police, the sergeant at arms, the staff, by not social distancing, yelling in their faces, and I think it loses some of its strength and message.
The death toll nationwide now tops 64,000. I'm Jan Johnson. While many states ease their restrictions today, New Mexico's governor is using a riot control act to seal off roads to all non-essential traffic heading into and out of the hard-hit city of Gallup. Correspondent Ed Lavandera is there.
This is a community with, even though it has a population of 22,000 people, has more than 1,000 coronavirus cases, and those cases have jumped by more than 200 in just the last few days.
More sailors aboard the Navy destroyer, the USS Kidd, are infected. Here's Jeff McKay.
The Navy reports there are more than 95 cases currently aboard the Kidd, meaning more than 30% of the crew has been infected. The Navy on Friday stopped providing official daily figures about the number of cases on the Kidd and the Theodore Roosevelt, saying it will only report significant changes on the vessels and new cases on any other deployed ships.
On Wall Street, the S&P 500 fell 2.8% today. I'm Jan Johnson.
This is a commercial announcement. Picture this scenario. A shortage of fuel has closed your electric utility, or any possible disaster has just devastated your town. You're out of power, no lights, and no news. That's why federal and state agencies urge every home to have an emergency radio. Now you can get a free Dynamo World Band emergency radio. This powerful radio lets you stay informed during any type of emergency. It doesn't even need batteries, and comes with a hand-cranked generator and super bright LED flashlight. The Dynamo emergency radio includes the NOAA weather band, a long-range AM receiver, a high-sensitivity FM band, and even a USB jack to charge cell phones or other devices. The Dynamo Emergency Weatherman Radio retails for almost $30. But Newsmax wants to make sure you get this radio. So check out the free offer for the emergency radio by going to gettheradio.com. That's gettheradio.com or call 800-NEWSMAX. This radio could save your life. This is a limited offer and may end soon, so order today.
For 2 days in a row, some Jewish communities in New York have drawn attention because people gathering for funerals appeared to defy the city's lockdowns.
On Thursday afternoon in Brooklyn, there was another confrontation between police and some members of an ultra-Orthodox Jewish sect mourning the death of a prominent rabbi. Mayor Bill de Blasio said he's spoken with community leaders about the way he expressed his frustration.
And I think everyone heard my public comments, understood that I was trying to strike a balance and show that I cared and I spoke out of concern.
Many took issue with him calling out the Jewish community. The mayor said he wanted to make one thing clear.
If people start gathering, they're going to have a definite problem. And that's going to be in every community.
Steve Kastenbaum, New York.
Spectators are being told to stay home this month when astronauts lift off from U.S. soil for the first time in 9 years. NASA and SpaceX warning against the usual huge turnout to see the Kennedy Space Center launch on May 27th. I'm Jan Johnson.
And I'm Charlie Brooks at Bloomberg World Headquarters. It was a down Friday, a losing week for the S&P 500 index. On the week, the S&P 500 index declined by 0.2%. Stocks erased a weekly gain as investors began May pondering profit warnings tied to the coronavirus and a ratcheting up of tension with China. They're also concerned about the economy. Julia Coronado is president and founder of Macro Policy Perspectives.
The bigger picture is obviously the hard stop for the global economy. We've got negative 35% for Q2 annualized U.S. GDP, which is going to be pretty rough. And we're seeing that also, I would say, in the earnings reports from companies.
Among them, Chevron. It is reducing its 2020 capital expenditure guidance to as low as $14 billion and planned a $16 billion in CapEx. Mike Wirth is chairman and CEO of Chevron. He spoke with Bloomberg Television.
We began the year with 17 rigs running in the Permian. We're down to 5 right now.
Wirth also says he expects this quarter to be, quote, very, very tough. Chevron, though, like ExxonMobil, is protecting the dividend. Mark Stokol is the CEO of Adams Express.
We've seen some of the international integrateds cut their dividends pretty significantly, and their stocks have really gotten hit pretty hard by that. And I think that Exxon and Chevron both have seen that, and they're very wary of that, which I think is one of the reasons why both companies came out and really are making a lot of noise about protecting their dividends.
Chevron shares declined 2.8%. The Dow down 622 points, down 2.6%. S&P down 81, down 2.8%. Nasdaq fell 284, down 3.2%. Global news 24 hours a day on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries.
This is Bloomberg Wall Street Week.
What's the state of corporate governance? It is a real issue. The U.S. economy continues to send mixed signals.
The financial stories that shape our world.
Fed action to calm concerns over dollar liquidity and encouraging China data. The 500 wealthiest people in the world.
Through the eyes of the most influential voices.
Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary. Our CEO Kevin Johnson, SEC Chairman Jay Clayton.
Bloomberg Wall Street Week with David Weston from Bloomberg Radio.
Science gave us some hope. The economic numbers, they gave us none. This is Bloomberg Wall Street Week. I'm David Weston. Welcome back. Equity markets held up pretty well this week, although below the surface, there are clearly some winners and some losers who are emerging. And judging from what we saw this week, big tech is tending to come out on top. That's something we talked with Wall Street Week contributor Sam Palmisano about. He is the former CEO of IBM.
It's interesting to watch what's going on. I mean, the guys that are well positioned in the pandemic are continuing to do well, especially those that are providing services like you were mentioning in business as well as to the individual, and we all connect with our families that way in this environment. Issues associated with the entertainment in the home and those kinds of things, facilitating that, and you see that also in the large tech companies, especially those that have other business models, but also like YouTube with part of Google, et cetera, Alphabet now. So fundamentally, you see a lot of that going on. I think that the broader trend long term for tech is how behavior is changing and how tech is facilitating that change. There's some specific examples. One, I think that leaps off the charts is telemedicine. I mean, telemedicine obviously uses the connectivity technology, whether that be WebEx or Zoom or whatever it happens to be, but fundamentally at the end of the day, it's a whole different way of practicing medicine. Now, this has been around for a while. Under companies like Heal that I know quite well have been around, but as soon as it was approved from a payment perspective, the insurance companies and Medicare, etc., these now approaches have lit up. Now, the point of that is that people will get used to that. And if you have the option of not going to the doctor's office and waiting in the reception area for, as you know, a very long time sometimes because things happen, that could be attractive to you. It doesn't mean you'll never go see a doctor again, but it could be an attractive alternative. You look at things that are going on in commerce. Of course, everybody talks about the big commerce player being Amazon and what they've been able to do in non-prescription drugs. It's like a 9-fold growth, if I'm not mistaken. Small groceries, small retailers and the stuff, at least in our environment, are using things like Instacart. You can order and deliver everything to the home. So all those patterns are going to continue to expand. Telemedicine, touchless payments, e-commerce, those sorts of, down to the small retailers, small grocers, those kinds of things. I believe that the consumer will change, and as a result of the consumer changing their consumption patterns, it creates opportunities for big tech.
Sam, talk to us as the former head of a big public company as well about the role of a public company in this world. We now have the government handing out a lot of money, sometimes in exchange for equity. At the same time, some companies are becoming criticized if they're not socially responsible. Is ESG more important than ever?
First of all, I'll start with ESG, or social responsibility, connecting to your society, was always fundamentally important. We can argue about the extent that people did that or not did that. We can talk about the pressure of short-term investment, et cetera, but fundamentally, it was strategically important to your brand. Because if you do things that are valuable to your individual customers or to society, your brand will be enhanced. Your value will be created. Now it will show up in your shareholder price as well. So I think it's always been important. I believe, quite honestly, large companies today have been extremely responsible. If you look at what people are doing, whether it's 3M, or whether it's going on in biotech, you just talked about Gilead and what they've been able to do in a very short period of time as well. You talk about what other guys are doing to help in the pandemic. Even the energy companies that are constantly relying, from sustainability activists and those sorts of things, turn over their chemical facilities to produce the chemicals that go into the product, those kinds of things. So, and automotive, the Ford, GM, and ventilators, all those things. I mean, those guys have been phenomenally responsible. So I believe that that kind of behavior, when you get into a crisis, big companies are stepping up. There's no business case to justify some of these things in this environment, which we all do understand. But fundamentally, they're doing the responsible thing. You even see some creative things in small companies. There's a small little company in Connecticut, New York. It's actually created a platform and technology that allows people to get back to work faster. I mean, I won't go take you through all the details, but basically it certifies your test results in your health. And whether you're working in the work or you're going into a restaurant for that matter, or you and I in the studio again, it'll say, hey, Sam's technically healthy. He's passed all these tests, and it's on his phone, and you let him in, and he goes on. And we can do this again like we used to do it live in your studio.
Sam, you've had a lot of experience with supply chains and a lot of experience with China. Do you anticipate that one of the consequences of this pandemic, when we come out of it, which we will at some point, will be some permanent changes in our relations, our business relations with China, and for that matter, in extended supply chains around the world?
Supply chains should have been designed for resiliency. By that I mean you have multiple alternatives. So you didn't have a major component in one geography, wherever it happened to be, so you could rebalance if a crisis occurred. That could have been a tsunami, it could be weather, it could be lots of things. It could have been a military action. We all designed our supply chains so if those events occur on a global basis,